Hey friends, I'm Mel and welcome to my kitchen. Something I'm hearing a lot is that you guys are frustrated with meal planning and simply out of ideas. So if that's the case, this video was literally made for you. It's the third in a new series I'm calling Meal Planning Made Easy, where every video is a ready-made weekly meal plan. You'll get a variety of flavor and cooking methods each week. The recipes are simple and easy to put together after work. They're budget-friendly and made with simple pantry staples. Of course, they're all delicious, but best of all, now you already know what's for dinner next week. Tonight we're going to make something we haven't made in a really long time. We're going to make us a Frito pie. To get started, we're going to brown up 1 pound of ground beef. Want to cook it all the way through and crumble it up into, pretty small pieces as we're cooking it. If you have any excess grease in there, just take a little paper towel and soak that up and get that removed. And while that ground beef is cooking, I'm going to take an entire bunch of green onions and chop them up. We're going to cover the whole top of this casserole with green onions. In my opinion, this is just the very best thing about this recipe. I love the green onions in it. We're going to add in 1 envelope of taco seasoning. If you like to make your own, you're going to use about 2.5 or 3 tablespoons full. Going to stir in 1 cup of salsa, and I love to cook with these fresh salsas like this. I think they just add so much to any little casserole or dish that you put them in. But a jarred one works just as well too. I'm going to use 1 cup of chili sauce, and I will leave a recipe linked below where you can make your own homemade chili sauce. If you don't happen to have it on hand, it's really easy. It does call for allspice, but if you don't have allspice, you're just going to mix together some nutmeg, cloves, and cinnamon. And we're going to put in about 8 ounces of whole kernel corn. If you have a 15-ounce can, you can throw it all in. I've made it like that, but I prefer about half that amount, so I just buy these little cans, and I did drain all the liquid off this. I'm going to stir everything up in here to get it combined really well. I turned my heat on the stove back up to about medium low. I just want to get this heated through and bring it up to a simmer, just for a couple minutes. I've got a 9x13 baking dish. I sprayed it with some non-stick cooking spray, and I'm going to take our ground beef taco salsa mixture and just pour it right over into this baking dish and spread it all out evenly. Now we're going to top this casserole with some cheese. I like to use 2 different kinds. I'm using a mozzarella. I think a Monterey Jack is also really good. It's pretty and white. And I like to use a cheddar, and I'm using a sharp cheddar cheese today. I'm using 1 cup of each one of these cheeses. It's been a really long time since I made this. This is a great dish when you think about the holidays coming up. If you have like a little potluck get together or something like that, this is a great dish to take to that because it's cheap, it's easy, and it's so quick, and it travels really well. Oh, I was supposed to put my Fritos under my cheese. Oh, I hate myself. Guys, I'm such a goofus. I'm gonna move my cheese to the side a little bit. It's called Frito pie. I forgot to put my Fritos in. You're gonna take just a regular 9-ounce bag of Fritos, and you wanna crunch them up. You don't want them just to be dust, but you want them in small pieces. And you just wanna put your Fritos on top of the mixture under your cheese. So I'm gonna put this cheese back over here. Move this to the side a little bit. I can't believe I forgot these. And I don't always use the whole bag of these either. So what this casserole is going to get is just a little bit extra cheese over the top. A little mozzarella and a little bit more cheddar. We'll just be extra cheesy tonight. The point is just to get the Fritos mostly covered. Next, we're going to use that big old bunch of green onions we chopped up. Sprinkle them right over the top of this casserole. I think this makes it so pretty, and I love the taste of green onions. This little dish is just going to bake uncovered at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. We are just baking it long enough for the cheese to melt and it to get nice and gooey. I forgot how much my family loves this little Frito pie. It was so good. Usually me and Maddie are the leftover eaters, but Patrick was in here eating up the leftovers of this one too. It's a real crowd pleaser. I've never met anybody who didn't like it, and I'm living proof that you just can't mess this one up, friends. Your family will love it. It's perfect for back to school season. Quick, easy weeknight casserole, and probably some leftovers for your family too. Friends, tonight I'm doing something that I never thought I would do. I'm straying away from my tried and true faithful Mary's meatloaf. Let's see what we think about them. Going to preheat my oven to 425 degrees. This recipe calls for 2 pounds of ground beef, but it is just me and Patrick, so I'm only using 1 pound. I'm putting in 3 ounces of chili sauce. That's just a little bit less than half a cup. Called for 2 slices of bacon crumbled up. I'm just going to eyeball some of these real bacon pieces. Also putting in about 3/4 cup of shredded cheese. I normally use oatmeal in my meatloaf. This is a 1/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs. To season it, we're going to use half a teaspoon of onion powder. I'm using half a teaspoon of garlic powder. It called for granulated garlic. And half a teaspoon of seasoning salt. We're going to squirt in about half a teaspoon of some yellow mustard and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Cannot forget the egg. Do as I say, not as I do. Do not overmix your meatloaf. That makes it very tough. You just want to get it mixed together, then stop. And if you've seen me make meatloaf on my channel before, you know I don't actually form mine into a loaf. I spread it out in a casserole dish, and I think that helps me not to overcook it, because that's another thing that will really ruin your meatloaf and make it tough is, overcooking it. This is plenty moist enough, but if you were to get too much breadcrumbs, you can always just put a little bit of milk in here, put a little moisture back into it if you need to. I have divided my meat out into 4 pretty equal portions, and I'm kind of loafing them, but kind of pattying them out a little bit too. I've done my best to get them the same size, and then I'm just going to push a little dent down in the middle of each one. Hopefully that will help it to not really swell up so much when it's cooking. Then take your favorite barbecue sauce. We're using this Kinder's Mild, and you're going to put just a little bit over the top. Then you're going to brush it all across the top of your meatloaf. Now that we have them all coated, we're going to put them in the 425 degree oven for about 25 minutes. This is for my new followers. Everybody always asks, how do you doctor up canned green beans? This is how I do it. Everybody has their ways. I rarely have Green Giant. I usually have Kroger brand, so don't think I'm brand loyal on my green beans. And I throw them in right in the water that they come in. I throw about a tablespoon of butter in there, some real bacon bits, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. If you have soy sauce and you like it, you could use that. I like black pepper in my green beans, and a little salt. The kind of strange ingredient is some brown sugar. My husband was never a fan of green beans, especially out of a can, but he loves them like this. We were at a cookout at our neighbor's house, and her mom had made a big old pan of green beans, and he went wild for them. So this is how she made them. So now this is how I make them for him. A lot of people like to drain this water off out of the can and put plain tap water in there or chicken broth, and that is fine too. And I've got mine cut up pretty high, and I'll let them come up to a nice boil and cut them down to simmer, and I'll let mine cook pretty hard. I like most of the liquid gone out of mine. Also had just a few of these little golden buttery potatoes left, so I just threw them in some water and I'm going to boil them up. Got my potatoes kind of fork tender, and I did not even peel them or anything. I was just pretty lazy tonight. But I am old school. I like my hand potato masher. I'm going to start with just a little bit of milk. Oh, I forgot I had some heavy whipping cream open. That would have been good to put in here. That's 2 tablespoons of butter. It's probably too much for this, but it was the end of a stick. Let me hit this with a little salt. and some pepper. Let's see what we got here. That's a perfect amount for me and Patrick. And sometimes I'll put mayonnaise in my mashed potatoes. Sometimes I put cream cheese. And that was out of this little container. If I can find a picture of it, I'll throw it up on the screen for you. It was also in my Aldi haul. And it was like a cream cheese spread with peppercorn and Parmesan. I also like my potatoes, like I said, with the skin on. And I like them just a little bit lumpy. This is so delicious. This was so comforting. This is definitely not the right time of year to be eating this kind of food, but the heart wants what the heart wants. When it wanted meatloaf, we had to make it with mashed potatoes and green beans. I never thought that anything could come close to Mary's meatloaf. I really, really like this. Almost as much as Mary's meatloaf, but Patrick, he likes this even better. So now we're going to have a meatloaf standoff around here. And you know what, friends? There's not one onion in this meatloaf. It wasn't in the recipe, and I was just concentrating on it, and I didn't even realize it. It's really good, but all meatloaf has an onion, and cheeseburgers too, but I sure didn't miss it. Friends, be sure and check the description box for all of tonight's recipes. I'll have them linked there for you, and it'll take you straight to my website. Once you're there, you can print them off on paper, or you can pin them right to your Pinterest board, however you like to organize your recipes. While you're there, catch up on reading my latest blogs, and be sure and sign up for my newsletter. When you do so, I'll send you 5 of my family's most favorite recipes on some cute little printable recipe cards. We are going to take one of my old favorite items right here, this Buffalo Wild Wings Parmesan garlic sauce, and we're going to turn it into a chicken and veggie sheet pan dinner. Oh, but I forgot. We're going to put a little bit of this sausage on here too. I've probably got 1.5 pounds of these little kind of baby yellow potatoes. I'm going to quarter these up, and then we're going to do something a little bit different with them this time. I've got a pot of water that I've just brought to a boil over here, and I'm going to drop my potatoes in, and I'm going to slowly put in about a tablespoon of just baking soda with these. Got to get them back up to a boil here, but don't want this baking soda to make them boil over. This was a tip I got from Luke Brown. He said by boiling these potatoes up for about 8 minutes with this baking soda, it would help the outsides of them get really nice and crispy, and the insides of them get nice and done when you cook them up on the sheet pan. Oh, I might boil over. This is your warning right here, friends. Don't even leave it to go to the bathroom. I thought I had it cut down low enough that I could run and tinkle real quick. It wasn't having none of it. It boiled over on me. I've drained my potatoes off. I'm just going to throw them in a big bowl. Now I'm going to drizzle on maybe a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here, a little bit of black pepper, probably a good teaspoon of each. Now I'm going to put in a teaspoon of garlic powder and a teaspoon of paprika. And I'm just going to toss to coat it in here. You can definitely do this on your sheet pan, but to me it's just a whole lot easier in this big bowl. Now I'm just going to dump these out on my sheet pan. I did cover it with some aluminum foil, and then I sprayed it with some non-stick cooking spray. Now I'm going to throw my broccoli and carrots in the same bowl. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit more in here on my veggies and toss them around. And let's be honest here, y'all have met my husband. He is not going to eat these veggies, so that's why there's just a little bit. This is just for me. Now I'll put those carrots and broccoli down, and you just use any other veggies that you might want. I'm going to flip them over so the tops of them can get that char that I love on roasted broccoli. Patrick actually told me he had already opened 1 pack of this sausage I got him, but I'm definitely going to use this before I open up the other package. So this is about 6 ounces of this sausage, and I'm just cutting it off into little circles about yay thick. Here comes Patrick's sausage. Now let's put this chicken breast on here, and I'm using these really thin ones because I like for this to cook up nice and quick. And I think I am going to give it just a sprinkle of paprika and a little bit of this onion powder. And don't you guys worry, we're using this Parm garlic sauce. Real careful like, I'm going to squeeze a good little bit on every piece of this chicken. And I love this stuff. It does have a little bit of a kick, not a whole lot. I'm a wimp. I can't handle real spicy stuff, but I do like this one. I'm just going to take my little brush and spread it out. But I've heard good things about all the different brands of this Parm garlic sauce. I think Sweet Baby Ray's got one. I know a lot of the store brands have them now. I've just not got to try them all. But hopefully we'll have enough of this chicken left over that I'll have a piece that I can cut up on top of some salads this week. Now we're going to put this in a 400-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Just make sure your chicken is cooked all the way through to 165 degrees. And I have a giant sheet pan. I got it really cheap at Ollie's Bargain Outlet, but feel free to put yours on 2 different sheets if you need to. This was so delicious, friends. We had a little bit of something for everybody in the family on this sheet pan. Patrick loved the little sausages. Of course, I loved the cheese and the broccoli. It was just really, really delicious and so full of flavor. And I like my broccoli charred like this. This is an unpopular opinion maybe, but I kind of like mine like that. So this was perfect for me. Of course, we love the garlic parm sauce, but you know, that is just an idea. You can take any kind of sauce that you like. If you like a buffalo chicken, Italian dressing, you can use whatever you like just to give it a little added flavor. And sheet pan dinners are a great way to use up any odds and ends of veggies that are sitting around on their last legs. Throw them on a sheet pan with a protein. Friends, I am excited about this one. It's an Italian chicken casserole. As you can see, it's the regular, everyday, normal people ingredients that you always see me use. Have this one mystery ingredient. This is some chicken broth where I made that chicken the other day in the crock pot. Poured that good broth off there, and then there was that leftover chicken. I'm starting by boiling 8 ounces of bow tie pastas. You could choose a spiral, you could do a penne, whatever you like or whatever you have on hand. Just cook you up about 8 ounces of it. Now, if you just want to cook this in the skillet, you want to go ahead and cook it all the way done. If you want to make a casserole out of it, you want to back off a couple of minutes before your pasta's done. I've got about 2 tablespoons of butter heating up here in my cast iron skillet. I'm going to put in, supposed to be about 1/4 of a cup of diced up red bell pepper, and then a small onion. And yeah, I'm just going to add that whole onion in. I'm going to be using some chicken that I have already cooked up in the crock pot this week. But now you could brown up some just chunk chicken breast in your skillet here. Do that first in this butter and get it cooked through like that. Of course, you can always use canned or rotisserie chicken. I'm also going to throw in the equivalent here of about 2 cloves of garlic. I'm just going to stir this all around and let this begin to get soft. I showed you my noodles cooking earlier. They're done. I've just got them sitting over here in their water. Now I'm going to add in this shredded chicken. This has already been cooked up the other day in the crock pot. And let's just kind of let everything get happy in here together. Again, my heart is wanting to throw some salt and pepper in here. And into this one, we're going to be putting a whole packet of Italian salad dressing mix, a little dry seasoning. So I'm definitely not going to put any salt in here. And you know what? I'm just going to use a little bit of black pepper, just a little. Now I'm going to put in 1 can of cream of chicken soup. My spoon doesn't fit. It's hung. Oh, danger. Okay. Just have to do it like that. Then I'm going to put in a cup of milk. And then I'm going to put in about half a cup of that chicken broth from the other day. Now we're just going to kind of whisk all this together in here until it's all well combined and everything's smooth and creamy. Now I've taken half a block of cream cheese, that's 4 ounces, and I've tried to cube it up pretty small and just going to stir this in and get it all melted down in here. Okay, all my cream cheese is almost melted down, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add in a whole packet of the Italian salad dressing mix, the dry seasoning kind, and I have zesty. I'm going to put in 2 or 3 big tablespoons of this grated Parmesan cheese. Get all this mixed in. Ooh, I need to turn my heat down a little. Matter of fact, I'm just going to cut it off. That smells good. Now I'm going to put that 8 ounces of cooked pasta in here. Now you could just call it done at this point, and you could eat it just like this. Let it sit here and thicken up just for a minute. But if you want to do this casserole style, grease you like a 2-quart casserole dish, turn this out in it, sprinkle a little bit more Parmesan cheese on the top. The recipe said cook it 30 to 40 minutes. I don't want to mess up another dish. So here's what we're going to do. But we're just going to cook it right here in this cast iron skillet. And I'm going to put me some panko breadcrumbs on top. I'm just going to try to get them kind of smushed down into this sauce so they'll be, kind of crispy but not hard. They'll get nice and brown. And I'm going to use some of this kind of shredded Parmesan over the top just to give it a little bit of extra meltiness. Not a whole lot, because we got plenty going on down in there. Alright, I'm going to throw this in a 350 degree oven, and I'm going to set mine for like 15 minutes and just look at it and see where I'm at, and then add a little bit more if I need to. My little Italian chicken casserole cast iron skillet bake, I did end up cooking it about 25 minutes. And again, all I can say is, wow. This one, especially cooking it in the cast iron, it gave me all of like the fall, cozy, campfire vibes. I loved this. You had that little hint of Italian in it. It is so good. This one and that French onion, they're just tied right up at the top for me. This was delicious, and you got just a little bit of crunch on top with that panko. I highly, highly recommend you do that. And it also kept the pasta from getting like burnt and crunchy on there. I love it. I love it. I can't say it enough. I can't wait to make this one again. And like I said, everybody has loved all of these. Click right here to watch the rest of the videos in this series, and thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your time with me. I don't ever take that for granted. Appreciate you being here, and until next time, I send you love from my kitchen.